In today's video, we're going to be checking out the upcoming release of the Shout Factory Silent Night Deadly Night Collector's Edition on Blu-ray. This Blu-ray is slated for release in December 5th, 2017, but lucky enough I was able to get an early copy sample of this that we're going to be having a look at in this video. The disc contains, or the set contains, two discs. The first disc being the standard theatrical release, the second disc, the extended, more shocking, unrated version of the film. Both films have been given a 4K scan, a 4K remastered scan of the original camera negatives and standard definition inserts. Before we have a look and talk a little bit more about the movie, a little backstory about this particular movie. This is one of my favorite all-time horror Christmas classics. So much so that I actually have myself a substantial collection of this. Originally I had it on VHS. I've since gotten rid of my VHS, but this was my original go-to when it came to Silent Night Deadly Night. This had Silent Night Deadly Night Part 1 and Silent Night Deadly Night Part 2, and sadly this is, I believe, the only way that you could get Silent Night Deadly Night Part 2 was in this release right here, and this was my go-to for Silent Night Deadly Night, watching it every single year. Generally I watch Part 2 because Part 2 pretty much has 2/3 of the first movie as flashbacks and footage that they just take for the second one. So you really can get away with watching the second Silent Night Deadly Night, and you get pretty much the best of both worlds. You get mostly all of the first movie as flashbacks in the second one. Then picked up Silent Night Deadly Night on its own. This was the uncut and uncensored version of the movie, which unfortunately the 2-pack Part 1 and Part 2 did not have. This had more the raunchier sex, murders, and gifts all packed inside this DVD copy. And actually, to note, this one was originally released by Anchor Bay. Anchor Bay released this one. This one here was released by Stars Home Entertainment. Then, also picked up the movie. I know there's a lot of them. Also picked up the 30th anniversary Silent Night Deadly Night, which was also the original unrated version. And up to this point, this was generally the way that I watched the first one because it was available in Blu-ray. Granted, unfortunately, it still only had very bare bones features, such as the audio interview with Charles E. Sellier Jr., a poster and still gallery, and Santa's stalking of outrage. It was basically just a whole bunch of newspaper articles and stuff like that talking about parents petitioning the release of Silent Night Deadly Night to theaters. This was still the go-to copy that I would generally watch because, again, it was the Blu-ray release, up to the point that Shout Factory has gotten their hand in Santa's stocking, so to speak, and has released Silent Night Deadly Night in this wondrous collector's edition release set. Much like most of Shout Factory's release, Silent Night Deadly Night, as you can see, gets a brand new slipcover treatment, which looks very cool, featuring Billy Chapman, the Santa Claus killer, on the front, and a series of bodies strewed across. In fact, if you look at them, you'll generally recognize most of the bodies here if you've seen the first movie. We go ahead, and on the back of the slipcover, what we have here is an uber sleazy guilty pleasure that is aired in my household at least once every December for me. It's right up there with the Grinch Who Stole Christmas cartoon. That's from Steve Barton at Dread Central. Now this release, Shout Factory did not skimp when it comes to all the additional features. Not only do you get the Disc 1 and Disc 2 in a new HD transfer from the original camera negative, you also get the theatrical trailer, radio spot, and TV spots, which are basically generally the go-to for the the original outings of this particular flick. However, if you look at Disc 2, it is beefy. Not only do you get the unrated version, which has a new HD transfer from the original camera negative with standard definition inserts, but you get all the stuff that mentioned before: Santa's stalking of outrage, poster still in gallery, and audio interview with Charles E. Sellier Jr. But you also get, and I have already watched these are fantastic, you get a new Sleigh Bells Ring, the story of Silent Night Deadly Night, featuring interviews with writer Michael Hickey, co-executive producers Scott J. Schneid and Dennis Whitehead, editor second unit director Michael Spence, composer Perry Botkin, and actors Robert Brian Wilson and Linnea Quigley. Now, this was actually a pleasant sight to see, because I actually didn't read all of the characters or all the behind-the-scenes crew that was going to be making up this feature. So when I finally came across actors Robert Brian Wilson and Linnea Quigley, I was super ecstatic. I already kind of knew Linnea Quigley from several interviews I saw online, but Robert Brian Wilson doesn't do very many interviews when it comes to Silent Night, Deadly Night. So it was a very pleasant surprise to see him on camera, where you could actually see what happened to, of course, Billy after he had filmed the movie. Robert Brian Wilson. And turns out he wasn't even an actor. I think they found him in a bar, and he was given a business card. Above that, you also get the new Silent Night, Deadly Night film locations, then and now. So basically it goes through all the parts of the movie, and then it shows you before what it looked like at the time when they were shooting the movie, and now what it looks like. And actually what's really neat about it is generally when you do the location shoots and it goes back and it looks at the shoots, it basically says, okay, well, here is where the orphanage was. And of course the orphanage unfortunately is not there now. It's been torn down. But they try to do it by scene to scene. So for example, if the car is driving, the police truck coming down the road, crossing the bridge on its way to the orphanage, it then flips it and it shows you what it looks like now, having the camera following the same path. So you can kind of get an exact scene to scene comparison between the original set locations and what they look like now. So yeah, you do get a substantial amount, and the Sleigh Bells Ring, the story of Silent Night, Deadly Night, is actually quite a substantial long watch. So really, you do get a good amount of stuff packed inside this new release of Silent Night, Deadly Night by Shout Factory. We'll go ahead and slide the sleeve off. We'll put that right there. This was also going to be available both in a standard release, which you basically get the collector's edition Blu-ray with slipcover, and you also get a limited edition 18 by 24 rolled poster of the newly designed art. So basically, if you like this art right here, that will also be available, and I'll put all the pre-order links down below to Shout Factory. You can order the standard edition, or you can also get the deluxe edition, which is also something I pre-ordered. It's at 2,000 orders only. So essentially what you're getting is you're going to be getting the collector's edition, you're going to be getting a limited edition poster that I had already mentioned, and you're also going to be getting an exclusive limited edition 18-inch Billy Chapman retro cloth figure from NECA. And that was one of the things I definitely had to get my hands on. So again, I'll put all those little pre-order links down below if you guys want to check those out. Here, let me just spin this around. Here are your two discs inside. You have your theatrical release, which has a running time of 79 minutes. The unrated version has 85 minutes, so it's only really about 6 minutes difference. And much like previous releases of Shout Factory Blu-rays, you get not only the new artwork that you can present the DVD or Blu-ray in, but you can also flip it around. And all the same back page is the exact same. But what you do get, though, is you get the original poster, which says, "You've made it through Halloween, now try and survive Christmas." As much as I love this, I mean, I technically already have this on the original 30th anniversary edition, so I am very, very much going to be displaying it with this fantastic new artwork that Shout Factory has done exclusively for their release. As I slide this into its sleeve, let's talk a little bit about the movie itself. How does it look? And I'd like to think myself as a fairly good expert when it comes to Silent Night, Deadly Night, as it's, again, something I watch every single year. I try to watch the first one. If not, I generally watch the second one, because the second one basically has the same footage as the first one. If you've seen the second one, you'll watch the first one by process of the fact that they throw in so much of the first movie's footage. Part 3, 4, and 5 are not ones I generally tend to watch, other than if I want to introduce a friend to the wondrous universe of Silent Night, Deadly Night. Then I'll watch the third, the fourth, and the fifth. The third one is about the only thing that stays in the same timeline, essentially, as the first and the second. Although I don't really like the pacing, and I don't like the design of Ricky in the third one. The fourth one is completely drastically different, incorporating a women's cult, cockroaches, and mass hysteria. The fifth one has to deal with a somewhat updated take on Pinocchio. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's talk about the very first one, which I think is still the best of the five. The second one has some real notable, enjoyable acting from the gentleman that plays Ricky Caldwell, but I think the first one is still the classic. So let's talk a little bit about Silent Night, Deadly Night. How does it look? Which is obviously something you guys probably are interested to know. Comparing it to, at the closest one I can compare it to, the Silent Night, Deadly Night 30th anniversary, and I'm sure I've said the movie a lot in this review. The original one on Blu-ray transitioned pretty good. They did remaster it, but very, very... It seems really, if anything, a slight cleanup. But the footage looks, for the most part, pretty much like the original standard DVD. It's not really much different. It's a little cleaner, but not really all that much. This one, on the other hand, if you watch the standard version, I'm going to open this up here. If you watch the standard theatrical release, it is very nicely enhanced. Again, once they've taken the 4K scan of the original camera negative and the standard definition inserts. They've went in, and they've edited, and they've cleaned it up, and I have to say it looks quite good. It is the best presentation of Silent Night, Deadly Night that you can get if you are watching on the big screen, if you're watching on your TV at home. This is the way to go. I say forego the other ones if you really want the best transfer and the overall best clarity of the movie. The theatrical release is the way to go. The unrated, however, the unrated version, unfortunately, and as you watch, if you pop the disc in, it'll even give you a little message at the beginning from Shout Factory indicating that they did clean it up. They did the 4K transfer of the original camera negatives, but unfortunately, all the unrated aspects of it, the stuff that gets added to the movie afterwards, the stuff that got cut, basically on the proverbial editing room floor, all that stuff gets brought into the movie, which is really the same as this movie right here. But unfortunately, it does suffer some seriously dark, dingy footage. The same one can be said for this one here. It did have the unrated extra footage added, but unfortunately the quality of the footage was so poor that you can instantly see what part is part of the theatrical version and what part is from the unrated version. The unrated version does have a drastically different, darker looking picture quality to it. Now, we'll give Shout Factory some, if not a lot, of credit. They did do their best to try to clean up what was available to them in the unrated cut footage. But unfortunately, the footage again was so rough and of such poor quality to start off with that even the cleaning up and trying to remaster that footage, you can then still see very much a darker, dingier, almost poor quality image when you are watching the movie. It's very, very clear, and then drastically, for example, if you've seen the movie, a lot of the unrated footage happens during Ira's toy store. That footage, for example, when it does happen, and Billy, for example, the close-up on Billy, when he strangles his coworker, all that stuff is still kept very, very dark, and unfortunately, the remastered end of it, again, they could do only so much with it. So you do still notice that the remastered footage is good. It's super clear. In fact, it's the clearest I've ever seen of the movie. But the unrated footage is still very, very much a murkier, harder to see footage. I give, again, all the credit to Shout Factory. They did really the best that they could possibly can. And really, of the footage that makes up the theatrical, it is stunning. So stunning, in fact, actually, that the clear picture quality, I could actually see the makeup on some of the actors' faces, and I could still see, in fact, I went back and I watched the original DVD just to see if I could see it, and I couldn't see it. You could see, like, the little film grain, a little periodically, the little lines that go down the movie as the reel is moving. It's, again, very, very clear, but unfortunately, watching the unrated version, you're still going to see a very slight change, a very drop change in picture quality from the original theatrical to then when you see the unrated version, the unrated cuts of the movie that have been added back in. Still, though, I don't think there's going to be a better quality transfer of Silent Night, Deadly Night than this one right here. Very, very happy that I was able to pick this up. I have a considerable collection of Silent Night, Deadly Nights. The only one missing here is my original DVD, which I guess I should have kind of kept because it would have been fun to have all the multiple. I think I basically have every release of Silent Night, Deadly Night that has come out. Then I've also got the Silent Night, which is the somewhat remake. I don't really want to consider that a remake, but nonetheless, fine work from the folks over at Shout Factory. I'll put all the pre-order links down below, so if you guys want to get yourselves the standard release of the collector's edition, which basically will have this movie and the poster, the link will be down below. And then I certainly would recommend, if you guys get a chance, get the deluxe offer, which it will have the Blu-ray, the poster, and then the actual retro cloth version of Billy Chapman, which I can't wait to get in the mail. In today's video, we were having a look at the upcoming release of the Silent Night, Deadly Night Collector's Edition from Shout Factory, which again is going to be released in December, on December 5th. Mark it on your calendar, 2017. If you guys would like to see more videos like this, as I talk about upcoming releases on Blu-ray and all that, let me know down below in the comments section below. Also, let me know if you've gotten a chance to watch the original Silent Night, Deadly Night, and let me know your thoughts on the movie. If you guys haven't had a chance yet to subscribe to this channel, make sure you hit that little subscribe button down below. More videos will be coming your way soon. As always, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.